Well, I've got a rather disturbing report to share with you guys today, and that is this. A major study has just revealed that there are engineered nanoparticles that are being laced into our food supply under the banner of, well, improving product efficacy. No joke. In fact, the FDA, for the most part, has given their ever so lovely stamp of approval on the process. And quite frankly, the information that you're going to see today is some of this nanotechnology is really causing or could cause problems in our human organs. In fact, there's just really not enough research out about this. So, well, basically, you're the experiment to find out exactly how these particles interact. But before I do, check out preparewithlisa.com. As you know, right now, the entire world is gripped by food shortages. We have a shipping supply chain crisis that has really broken things down. We have farmers who can't plant crops because of droughts, because of these new Green Deal restrictions. Bottom line, food shortages are here and food shortages are likely to get worse. So please prepare your family today by going to preparewithlisa.com. And right now, you can get $50 off of their 4-week emergency food supply kit. So check it out at preparewithlisa.com, or you can click in the description box below. All right. So let's start first with nanotechnology itself. Just what is it? What kind of foods is it in? And then we'll kind of dive into some of the details. Well, for starters, I want to take you to the Center for Food Safety because they're supposed to be about safety of our food. And here's what they have to say. Nanotechnology is a powerful but novel platform for taking apart and reconstructing nature at the atomic and molecular level with important human and environmental health ramifications. Common food-related products that contain nanotechnology include candies, such as M&M's, Skittles, baby bottles, and plastic storage containers, to name a few. While scientists agree that nanomaterials create novel risk that require new forms of toxicity testing, very little testing and regulation of these new products exists, and consumers have almost no information. So, let me just pause right there because this is a powerful point. First of all, they say you and I, the consumers, have little to no information. Maybe you've already heard about nanotechnology and nanomaterials and nanoparticles in your food or laced in your food or being used in the products. Maybe you have and maybe you haven't. But the bottom line, most people are unaware of the information, and they want it that way, apparently. Not only that, but as they said, it requires new forms of toxicity testing because of the way they interact with all the stuff they're adding them to. However, little to no testing and regulation exist. You got to wonder what's truly going on there. Now, the question that you have to ask is there any health risk to this? And as you're going to see in today's broadcast, there absolutely is. I'm going to show you here. This is according to Westerhoff's lab, recently tested 14 products and found nanomaterials in all of the products, including nanotitanium dioxide in M&Ms. Among the M&Ms and other candies your child might collect, and they're talking about Halloween in this article, there are serious health risks from nanomaterials that U.S. regulatory agencies have not properly examined. According to studies, risk of nanotitanium dioxide include pathological lesions of the liver, the spleen, the kidney, and the brain, lung tumors, right, which they have shown that could be increased in rats, and inflammation, cell necrosis, and dysfunctions in the kidney. So these are the kinds of things that they note are potential. Not only that, but a number of studies also reveal something as well. It says a number of studies show that consumer products, including food contained in products like plastic food containers, actually shed nano silver particles into the environment and have turned up in wastewater and sewage sludge. So, in other words, it is also harmful to our environment, and they're finding it in sewage sludge, I would guess too, because maybe it some of it could be flushed out of our body as well. Now, that's just my speculation on that part. But that said, according to the tested products done by that lab research, it could and potentially can cause some risk to some pretty severe things like tumors, kidney issues, brain issues, liver issues, and the whole 9 yards. In fact, let me show you, because it really gets into some of the nano materials that are inside here. Here are some of the nano materials. Silver is in a lot of it. Titanium dioxide, I believe that was the one nano material that was approved by our FDA. And I think there's a couple. I think that one and silver has been as well, and maybe some more. But you can see gold, ceramic, clay. These are things that they're adding in, right? Now, here's a category of nanotechnology, what they're putting it in. Right here, you can see it's in our foodalizer, cooking and eating products, baby and infant products, our food supply, filtration, the bottled stuff as well. So you can see all the different things that it is. And FDA approved is this orange there, right there in the middle. FDA approved additives believed to contain nano, and it lists 9 different ones there. Not only that, but here is a sheet, if you will, of, I guess, all the products that contain some of this material, or some of the products. I don't know if it's an exclusive list. You can see Italian cheese blend there, Albertsons, their cookies, their chocolate syrup. You can see this in tap water. You can see this in wafers. You can see chopsticks. You can see whipped cream, Betty Crocker. So all of this is just kind of a list that you can scroll through, just so you kind of get an idea. Now, there's one more report that I want to show you, or 2 more reports that I want to show you regarding this. The first one here is Health and Safety Executive. This is out of the United Kingdom, the government there in the United Kingdom. So you can see understanding the hazards, it says, of nanomaterials. And here's what it states. This is kind of a summary. The scientific community still does not have a good understanding of all the healthy effects likely to arise from exposure to different types of engineered nanomaterials. Knowledge gaps exist in key areas that are essential for predicting health risks, such as routes of exposure, the way nanomaterials are taken up into the body, the way nanomaterials are transported once they're inside the body, and the ways in which the nanomaterials interact with the body's biological system. These are some of the things that they're still observing. They don't know all the information on. Now, that said, there are different ways that they are taking in these nanoparticles. For example, here's one here, inhalation. For inhalation, engineered nanomaterials, the target site most likely to be affected is the lungs. There is evidence that inhaled nanomaterials have the potential to inflate inflammatory responses. However, the factors that determine the severity of the response are not fully understood. In other words, they don't know the long-term health consequences or repeated exposures either. But bottom line here is we don't really know how much it affects. We just know that it does at some level. And not just our lungs here. If you move on a little bit, there's also more information here, and I'm going to scroll it down to about right here, and it says, it is also known that long fibers that are retained in the pleural cavity can cause persistent inflammation, which may lead to diseases such as lung cancer. So this is a report out of the United Kingdom, definitely warning of some of the problems with this nano particles, with this nano materials that they're talking about. Now, one more study I really want to hone in on, because I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to look at the studies, the information that is out there, so you can kind of form your own assessment on all of that. But this last one here is the Journal of Food and Drug Analysis. Let me take you to that one. And here's what it says. The current application of nanotechnology in our food and in our agriculture. Now, obviously, these were published a while back, but again, I think it's important to bring attention. And it starts with just what it is. The rapid development of nanotech has been facilitating the transformations of traditional food and the agricultural sector, particularly the invention of smart and active packaging, nanosensors, nanopesticides, and nano fertilizer. These are some of the things that they're using it for, and they're saying they're also using it to improve food quality and safety. safety, growth, monitoring environmental conditions, which is just a good word. We're watching the environment and experimenting as we go. Introduction. Nanotechnology is widely applied in our everyday life and changing our entire society. That's a big statement. It has begun marching into the agricultural and food industry since 2003, when the U.S. Department of Agriculture published the first roadmap in September 9th, 2003. Now, the next section actually details some of the harms that they talk about here. And here it is. And this is in nanotechnology mechanisms. Human health upon exposure to nanomaterials as food additives and other functional ingredients of food and agriculture products is also of major concern. The direct contact of nanomaterials used in food additives, function, nutritional ingredients may pose threats to human health. The production of reactive oxidative species, ROS, acts as one of the main toxicology mechanisms causing cellular damage and death. Overproduction of ROS can lead to autophagy, neuron damage, and severe damage to DNA, and potentially mutagenesis and carcinogenesis, an aging-related disease in humans. Now, that's a pretty bold list. Can also cause allergic reactions and damage from metal ion release from nanomaterials are also possible adverse outcomes upon the exposure of food nano products. Additionally, the accumulation of nanomaterials in edible parts, seeds of plant, and human bodies may cause severe problems at higher concentration and long-term interactions. So there you have it. They're saying, hey, look, there could be some hazards associated with this, but they also go on to detail not enough research is done and we still need to kind of study it up. But these are the potential hazards. Those are some things that I think we should look about because, quite frankly, the question that I have is we have seen a massive skyrocket in all kinds of things, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, cancers, tumors, all kinds of things, autism, all of these things have gone up. Now, further in that study, they say some other interesting stuff that I want you to be aware of. The first one here, and this is kind of on number 4 through their points here. And I'm not going to read this thing, but I'll highlight it. You can pause it and read it if you want. But basically, a French agricultural research institute did some kind of study and found that there were some problems with TiO2NPs, right? They treated rats or whatever. We've got an issue. So what did they do? The French Food and Safety said, hey, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to ban that as carcinogenic. We're getting rid of it. Well, this hit the United States and I guess other it went around the world or whatever, but many companies started saying, hey, I'm going to eliminate that from my product. Dunkin' Donuts removed it from their product, or Dunkin' Donuts did. Mars, French food manufacturer Mars, removed it from their product as well. Now, I don't know if this was done all over the world or just there in certain areas in France or whatever, but everybody got the memo. The problem is, we are being used by an experiment, if you will, because they had this out and about and ready to go. Then study was done on it. And then they decided, hey, let's pull this, from our powdered sugar donuts. Maybe we shouldn't have been putting that in there after all. One has to ask the question, why wasn't that research done prior to putting it in those particular donuts? And that's the kind of thing that's happening after the fact. So unfortunately, I feel like we are just like some kind of test guinea pigs, to say the least. But thankfully, at least U.S. company and Dunkin' Donuts did that. All right. One last thing I want to show you on this article is the fact that they are asking for more legislation on such things because there's not enough. Don't worry, you're only getting it laced somehow or some shape in your food. Here it states, given these limitations, current legislation is still at initial stage of development. It might share a common framework globally to address all aspects of applications, risk, food safety, and disposal. Currently, it covers an extremely broad and general aspect regarding nanomaterials and nanotechnology. It needs evaluation, or re-evaluation when it comes to a specific nanomaterial. However, in most cases, it is unclear of the detailed criteria for the specific nanomaterials to be put in the food market. Even in the final guidance for industrial proposal by the FDA, it states this: FDA does not categorically judge all products containing nanomaterials or involving application of nanotechnology as intrinsically benign or harmful, with no further details. Well, that's interesting. They made a couple points. Legislation is currently at initial stage. They need a framework to address some of the risks. And of course, the FDA's cool, crazy little questionable stamp there. But it goes on to state this as well, that there are cases where they've put stuff out in public without knowledge of the public knowing. Here he is, public awareness and acceptance. There were cases that silver NPs were added into packaged materials due to their antimicrobial activity, and these materials had been widely used in many foods, like milk packages. General public consumed these products without knowing the addition of nanoparticles. That could be both an ethic and legislative issue. Now, proper labeling becomes mandatory so that public is aware of what they consume. Wouldn't that be nice? Unfortunately, right now, we don't have the proper labeling system here in the U.S. They can't even label our GMO modified foods. There's no thing for that. Meanwhile, we've got some stuff that is really questionably being laced in our food supply. And it could be causing problems. We don't really know the effect because it's not really being studied at the levels. But what I can say is obviously certain types of cancer and Alzheimer's and autism and dementia have all skyrocketed. Why do they continue to skyrocket? I think it's a combination of things. But meanwhile, there's also one last news source I want you to see, and this is actually on theguardian.com. Microplastics found in human blood. Yep. For the first time, it states this: microplastic pollution has been detected in human blood for the first time, with scientists finding the tiny particles in almost 80% of the people tested. The discovery shows the particles can travel around the body and may lodge in organs. The impact on health is yet unknown, but researchers are concerned as microplastics cause damage to human cells in the laboratory, and air pollution particles are already known to enter the body and cause millions of early deaths a year. The scientists analyzed blood samples from 22 donors, healthy adults, and found plastic particles in 17 of them. Half of the samples contained PET plastic, which is commonly used in drink bottles, while a third contained polyester used for packaging food and other products. A quarter of the blood samples contained polyethylene, from which plastic carrier bags are made. Our study is the first indication that we have polymer particles in our blood. That's terrifying, in my opinion. A recent study also found that these microplastics can launch onto the outer membranes of red blood cells and may limit the ability to transport oxygen. The particles have also been found in the placentas of pregnant women and in pregnant rats as they pass rapidly through the lungs into the hearts, brains, and other organs of the fetuses. So there you have it. I wanted to show you all of that in a nutshell. I know that it was quite a bit to read, but I wanted to show you multiple sources and studies, and I've got 3 in this report alone, and they're all going to be linked in the description box below so you can check it out. But bottom line, this sort of nano material is in our food supply. And the government is kind of really turning a blind eye here in the U.S. for the most part. Well, when we figure out something's bad, then we'll sayonara. Till then, guess it's on the table. Anyhow, I'd love to get your thoughts, comments, and concerns on all said. I love all of you. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven signing out.